Hello everyone, this is Panda the Hunter bringing you another Minecraft video. Today I'm going to show you how to take your boring starter house and turn it into something special looking. So without further ado, let the game begin. As you can see before me, I have the basic materials that I'm going to be using in these builds, and right there are each of the builds progressively as they change from the basic starter onto the more complex. Now, we have glass, chiseled stone, stone brick, cobblestone, wood oak, oak stairs, oak planks, an oak door, and some oak fence posts. Now, normally when I first hop onto Facebook, or wherever I decide to visit that day, I always see houses that look like this. Now, there's nothing wrong per se with builds like this, especially if you want to build like an office building or something, in which case I would actually recommend something more like this one over here. However, I've noticed that they always seem to have the same 3 windows cut out on the sides, 1 window in the back, and then the door, and then the flat roof. Now, the problem with having a flat roof is it's just not realistic. And the problem with at least the glass on cobblestone is if you look, it really doesn't look like it blends in too well. Now, over here on the wood house, it is completely different. It looks much better than it does on the cobblestone. So, the first step I'm going to show you guys, which I've already pre-built every house just to save some time on the video, is simply by cutting corners. Quite literally in this case, because look at that. It has a different shape, it has better definition, and it has a nice little shadow there, which gives it contrast and more depth. Now, up here I decided to leave the 1 block on because I have plans for that later. As you can see, I still left the windows in, but instead of the 3 blocks that you see over there on the cobblestone, I've cut it down to just 1. Whoop, seems I forgot 1 in the back. Alright, let me fix that real quick. And there, all fixed. Now, as you can see from the inside, I have not really done anything besides change the style of the floors for each one. However, since these are supposed to be starter houses, I don't expect people to have a whole lot to work with. So these are simple 5 by 7 houses. I know, very small, but at the same time, very efficient for what we need to do, at least in the early game. Now, after you've cut the corners, the best thing to do next is to actually replace the entranceway with something like you have here with the oak logs. As you can see, it looks much better on the cobblestone than it does on just the wood planks, but that's because with the cobblestone, it's changing the color up and adding more to it, so you don't just have the brown and the gray and everything that you do over here on the oak. I may have misspoke there, and if so, I am truly sorry. You don't have the gray of just the cobblestone. You have some brown mixed in from the oak. Over here, as you can tell, yeah, it adds a bit of color, but at the same time, not quite enough for what we want. So as we move on, I decided to change the style of the roof from the flat, drab area that you see in the 3 starters into a slanted roof. Now, the way I did this is actually quite simple. I just ran along the edge right here with some cobblestone stairs. That's all it is. Just cobblestone stairs like that. And then on the underside, I just placed them upside down. Now, this part may be a bit resource intensive in the beginning, but I consider the beginning the first 3-4 days of the game. So if you can get something like this, it is actually going to work out beautifully for you. On the inside, you get to add in an extra window to let in more light, and now you have a much larger space, which if you're playing survival mode may not be such a good thing because of Endermen, but at the same time, I've had very few encounters with those, at least at the start. As you can see over here at the cobblestone, I've knocked out the glass and replaced it with fence posts. Why? Well, because as I said in the beginning, the glass really does not go well with cobblestone. However, with the fence post, it actually looks much better and adds in so much more detail, because when you think of an older style, medieval style home, you don't think glass everywhere because they rarely had glass. In fact, a lot of times it was just an open window with shutters on the side, like you see right here. I decided to put the fence post in mostly to keep monsters out in survival. If you're not playing survival and just creative, you can probably go ahead and leave those out. Inside, it's the same story over there in the wood house, where you have the beautifully added windows with more fencing. And of course, up above, you get a nice blend of color right there. But unfortunately, I hate oak. I know that's bad to say, but oak has to be one of the ugliest colors possible. But I decided to leave it like this just for the sake of beginners, because when most people first start out, the very first tree they look for is the oak tree. Now, once you have this basic shape down, you can actually add quite a bit of detail that you see over here. All I did was toss in some wood buttons onto the newly added wood logs that sprout out. I added in some fence posts to hold up the roof. I added some ladders for some shutters, and I decided to go a little bit crazy with some dirt and make a flower pot out of it right outside the window. Now, as you can see, this right here is more of an aesthetic than anything. I just love the way the chiseled stone looks, honestly. If we go over here to the wood house, you can already tell the difference from the beginning. The cobblestone roof looks like shingles from far away, and as you get closer, right here the stone bricks give it a solid base and makes it look so much nicer. The leaves, of course, are oak, and that's just a personal preference, really. Any leaf would do, or you could go and have none at all. I know quite a few people who hate having their entranceway blocked like that, but I like it because, like right here, it gives you such a nice looking view. Now on the inside, forgot to mention, I did in fact change the door from an oak door to a spruce door on this one. These last houses are kind of like the final builds. As you can see, I tossed glowstone up in the top for some lighting, and these are actually dark oak stairs, and I decided to block out the oak wood with some cobblestone just to make it match a bit better. The floor I decided to change for birch, and right here is your basic starting stuff: a chest, a bed, your furnace, and a crafting bench. Over in the wood house, however, I decided to do things a little bit different and add in some carpeting, and I decided, hey, it's oak log, oak planks, might as well leave it like that. Over here, we're not worried too much more about the aesthetic of cobblestone on wood, so it's not like it matters. Now, I did, instead of the oak logs, which I used for the door frame, put down the chisel stone brick right there on each of the windows, just because it adds a bit more color to the room and to the house from the outside. Now, why is it important to have a blend of colors like this? Let me show you over here with the flooring alone. Right here we have a single one-tone floor made of birch wood. Yes, it works, but at the same time it's dull. It's boring. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you walk in and expect it to be a museum or something. Or if I was building a museum, I would probably use either granite, diorite, or probably even sandstone. Now, if you add a border that contrasts with the floor, look at that. It's already looking so much better. Now you have the basic border with the floor itself, and inside you're free to make designs. Now, I decided to go with some red wool and make a nice little checkerboard here, mostly just to show a different style of pattern. Because, in all honesty, if you are going to make something like this, why not mix it up a bit? Now, something else I've noticed the community does not seem to make use of is depth. Now, what do I mean by depth? Well, quite simply, let's take a look over here. I decided to change things up from over there by putting in some stairs for the border, which gives me that drop down, and it has a nice little area where I can set up whatever I need, whether it's some chests, or perhaps I want to build a table, which I would go like that, and something like that. Voila! Cheap looking, but effective. But now, here's the thing with this. You could actually do so much more if you use half slabs, like over here. The depth isn't as far down, so it doesn't look that bad of a drop, and you can change the color to pretty much anything. Now, why would you want this over that over there? Quite simply, furniture. Just look at that nice little sectional, made out of light blue wool and jungle planks. Now, this is simply done by knocking out one of the slabs right there, and just placing wool down, and then placing it down right there on top of the border, which in this case is the dark oak stairs. Over here, you can make a nice looking bookshelf. It doesn't just have to end there. You could actually extend the bookshelf all the way through the wall, and then on top of it add more and more. And then, right here's my favorite, something I picked up from Good Times with Scar, is how to make nice looking chairs. We have a nice little area right here for dining. The chairs are really wool, a wooden trap. My bad, that is a wooden pressure plate. Can't believe I actually had to look that up. And an item frame. Now, how you get this to happen is once you have the pressure plate down, you you hold down shift, and then you just click the back of the pressure plate. And there you go. You have a nice looking chair. Now, over here, I thought it would be important to stress colors a bit more, since a lot of people like to use some really, really bad combinations. Now, I am not saying that these are the only combinations you should ever use. In fact, the combinations are pretty much limitless, but there is a difference between things that contrast well, like the red and the black, the blue and the light purple, the orange and the black, the white and the blue, black and yellow, and so on and so forth, and things that are just plain ugly, like, say, green and purple. Look at that from above, and that does not look good, in all honesty. Why should you care about how it looks? Well, that's the question. If you are on a solo single-player game, really the looks all depend on what you want it to do. By that I mean, no one else will really see it unless you're taking screenshots and sharing it with everyone, whereas on a server, everyone gets to see it, and everyone gets to either comment on how good it looks, or some people, in my personal experience, are quite rude when it comes to it, and will actually make fun of you. Now, I have hopefully taught you guys how to improve your starter build simply by starting from this, knocking out the corners, adding in a door frame, and changing up the roof and everything. The more detail you put into it, the better, but be careful not to over-detail, because that can actually result in something that looks far worse than what you started with. And starting from this and going down to this is actually pretty good when you're first starting off. As time goes by, you'll be able to build more and more fantastic things than if you just simply get tired and lose motivation and just stick with this. This has been Panda the Hunter, and I hope that I have taught you all something, and I will catch you all next time.